Hi, this is James Cooney. You're listening to Tank Sport Radio. It's like Talk Sport, but with the tank.
Hi guys, and we're live with, obviously this is a podcast I'm doing, but it's the first interview that I've managed to secure. So we're doing an interview today with a very good friend of mine for quite a few years now, James Cooney.
Hello.
And obviously he's going to answer some questions. I've got some questions that you guys have put forward to him, and we'll just see where it goes. But anyway, without further ado, first question, obviously one I've been meaning to ask: what comes with the job of being a football coach in the community then, James?
It's a lot of different responsibilities, to be honest. It's not just being a coach, you're also a role model in the community. And we don't really just do football, we do other sports like basketball, volleyball, athletics. It's a number of things.
Yeah, I do. I remember when I did it briefly that it's enjoyable as well to a degree, isn't it?
Yeah, I love what I do. It's one of the best things. It's what I've always wanted to do as well.
Yeah, but you do a lot more than just basic football, but it involves basically liaising with the community, doesn't it, and promoting sport to a certain degree. It's
about promoting the club, having a good image for the club, and the best way to do that is going out into the community and playing football.
Exactly. Moving on from there then, what are your personal career aspirations then from your life?
Well, I'd like to say I want to make it managing a Premier League team, but honestly, maybe going into coach education, being the one who teaches the new coaches coming through, and just getting as many qualifications and as much experience as I can.
Yeah, that sounds a good career aim to me. I'm not far off with that one myself, but we'll all see where we end up. But that's really interesting that you see yourself going into coaching education, because that's quite a unique thing. I've not heard anyone ever say that to do before.
Well, it came when on my last course, my coach educator, he actually showed us that, to be honest, it can be a good job. You're influencing other people's dreams, letting them do what they want to do in life. So it could be another way to get other people into football, as well as actually being involved in football yourself.
That's true. That's a very good way of putting it, to be fair. So when it comes all down to it, what made you choose what you're doing now? What made you do what you want to do?
I just love football, really. Rochdale fan through and through. Always wanted to be involved in football. I'm lucky enough to be working at Rochdale, and to be honest, even if it was at grassroots level, I just want to be involved in the game.
It's very admirable that you think like that, but it also, I bet it helps being a fan of the club.
Definitely. All the time. Working match day clubs on the Saturday, not just working, getting to watch the match, that's one of the best benefits you can have.
Exactly.
Unless you lose.
Well, less of that. But yeah, it is a good job, it sounds. But how long have you been doing this then?
It's been on and off just over 2 years now. Maybe I took a break for a couple of months in between to gain qualifications. But yeah, it's been 2 years, the best of my life, to be honest, best 2 years of my life.
So can I just ask, what qualifications do you currently have then in terms of this football?
Numerous FA qualifications, various MVQ as well, including sports leadership awards and anything like that really, including different sports.
So if there was someone out there listening that wanted to do what you do, what would they have to do to get into this?
Contact your local FA, get yourself booked onto FA level 1 at least. That's what we look for in our coaches. Maybe get involved in a kids team, coaching some of them for a bit of experience, then just moving on to higher qualifications, see where you end up.
Alright, thank you very much. Touched on this briefly, we mentioned it, but do you really enjoy it? Honestly?
Yeah. Every day is different. Every day is completely different. We, as coaches, we also treat it as a school day because we also learn off the kids every day. There's always something new, and every day isn't the same, so it's good.
Fantastic outlook, because I believe the famous quote, if you enjoy what you do, you never work a day in your life, as they say. Brings to mind, but here's an interesting question for you. Obviously, you technicality and work for Rochdale, but what's it like working in partnership with a football club doing the coaching?
It brings a more professional approach to coaching in the community. I'm not just representing myself when I'm doing it, I'm also representing Rochdale Football Club. And since I've been a lifelong fan, I want to make it a good image. I want more fans coming to the club week in, week out.
Yeah, we all want more fans at the club, which is obviously, as a fellow fan, is a great thing to have, especially when they've got professional coaches such as yourself working in partnership with them. But first of all, we've got a few questions now that have come from people today that may be listening now. Well, not listening now, you know what I mean, may listen in the future. But first of all, who designs your kit you have to wear?
Well, to be honest, it's all taken care of by Fila. We've had various brands over the last few years. We've had Nike, we've also had Cabrini, which is in partnership with Fila. But this year's kit's actually been pretty good. It's not just on the look of it, it's actually a good training kit, comfy to wear, and durability has been actually alright for once, unlike with Cabrini where it was a bit dodgy, to say the least.
Yeah, I do remember Cabrini gear, it wasn't the greatest. But Fila does seem quite good. That question was asked by Liam Reynolds, I should mention. Moving on to a question asked by Casey Donoghue, we have you ever been at any other club?
No, Rochdale are my only club. Plan to keep it that way for now, at least. I'm enjoying my time at the club. I've enjoyed the last 2 years. Moving on to something else, I have played at a different club before. I was in the academy development teams at Halifax. I was there for a few years until I got injured, but then it made me want to look at other aspects of football, and I went into coaching and also scouting.
Yeah, so at least you're still involved in the game, which is lucky. But just can I ask, just touch upon, obviously while we've got people listening, what injury did you sustain?
Broke my knee, which caused further problems. It brought on Osgood-Schlatter's disease, which is pretty much cartilage pushing through the bone, which also made another crack in my knee. I was out for about 3 years overall, which stopped me from playing football, but it made me more determined to get into another part of it and actually enjoy the game again.
Yeah, so exactly, for anyone else out there, if you've got an injury, you can get involved in other ways. You just got to get yourself out there. Like recently, I was speaking to Ollie Flanagan, who knows who he is if he is listening, and he's interested in getting the refereeing down in London, because obviously they do refereeing courses just like up here, and it was interesting to see that that's what he wanted to do, because there's not a great call for being a ref usually, is there?
It's a good thing to do. I've refereed quite a bit. It's working as a coach, you also have to referee, you have to do a lot of different roles. And refereeing, to be honest, it brought another aspect to watching Premier League games where everyone goes on about how bad the ref was. I can see it from his shoes where if I was refereeing that game, yeah, I'd be a bit dodgy about some decisions. It just depends. Sometimes it's just about who's in the way of you. If you've got a bad view, you can't blame it on the ref.
Exactly.
So it's just some people you need to understand the ref a bit more, give them a bit less grief.
Some people are, but overall referees are slated far too quickly and far too easily in this day and age. But
some of them are dodgy, to be fair.
Well, yeah, watching League 2 right every week, we see quite a few, don't we?
Yeah, quite a few.
But moving on here, another question by Liam, quite a businessy question here. Who are Rochdale's parent clubs and what deals do you have with them then?
Well, it's a bit weird really. We don't really have parent clubs. It depends which manager you have at the time. At the moment we have John Coleman and Jimmy Belly, and their contacts at the moment are mostly Liverpool based. So we have a lot of ex-Liverpool youth team players playing for us now, like Ray Peterill. We've also had Joe Rafferty. We had Stephen Darby last season as well. We had a few other players who have come from Accrington who are also from Liverpool. But we actually had an instance during pre-season where we had a closed doors training match against Liverpool, and we was winning 1-0. Believe it or not, Ashley Grimes had scored, and 60 minutes in, one of our players suffered a broken ankle, I think it was, and the game had to be abandoned. So we didn't get to see how it ended, but I'll take 1-0 up at any point against Liverpool.
Exactly.
Players who were playing in that match were Charlie Adams, Jose Reina, then you had Daniel Agger in defence. You had a few big name players as well.
Yeah. Obviously, there was no blame given to Liverpool for the injury, but it was quite a nasty one.
It happens in football. Accidents do happen, so we have to just take it on the chin. Reece is a good player, and hopefully will be back for us soon.
Yeah, exactly. There's not much else you can look for it, but he is a fantastic talent, and I would like to see him back sooner rather than later. But next question, asked obviously by Phil Sam. Did you always know you'd go into football when you were younger then?
Yeah, always. Always as a little kid. I was always playing it, go to training, come back from training, then go outside kicking football against the wall. It doesn't really matter. I always wanted to be involved in football. I've had my fair share of problems, like I've said, but it's never stopped me getting involved in football.
Yeah, well, it's a good way to look at it. You've got to overcome certain barriers to get where you want to be. And another question we've been asked by Scotty Adams, of course, the Australian. If you wasn't in football, what would you be doing in terms of possibly other jobs, maybe?
I had two other options available to me. I was actually accepted onto, weirdly, an animal management course in college, which I would have enjoyed, or I could have got into the army, but I've been told to, if I wanted to, apply at a later date because of the knee injury that's already been said about.
Yeah, so that obviously prevented you from going where you wanted to go, but then you got into this and
I got into football. I'd rather be in football than anything else, but it's always good to have a backup plan.
Yeah, exactly.
Just in case.
But you could honestly, so that's quite a unique way of going. You could honestly, if you couldn't be in football for whatever reason, such would you obviously are, but animal management, that's quite interesting. You want to explain a bit more about that?
I might be 6'8". Some people might be a bit intimidated by me, but I like animals. It's simple as I wanted to be a zookeeper or something like that. And to be honest, that's more having like pets as a kid makes you like animals. So it's one of those. I'd pick football over it any day, but it's always an option.
Right,
always something to go back to.
It's definitely something. It's different from your usual standard answers you get, but
definitely.
Next question, also by Scotty Adams, is: do you run any football clinics that the club do? Obviously, that'll be like courses and things like that.
Yeah, we run a lot of coaching sessions. We're doing 7 days a week. I'm mostly working 7 days a week, so it's a very demanding job. But yeah, we have loads of sessions on all age groups, all ability groups. It is for anyone. It doesn't matter if you're disabled, you can always play football. Football is open to anyone. We don't have any prejudice against that. But I love running the football courses. I absolutely love it. It's one of the best parts of my job.
Yeah, so obviously you get to deal with, well, basically I'd consider you the step before the youth academy. You know what I mean? You're in charge of spotting what's got a bit of talent and referring it on.
Yeah, I actually work with a few other coaches, and a couple of them actually work for our Centre of Excellence, who they run their own teams, but they also do the football and community job as well. So if they see any players that want maybe under 9s or anything like that, they can scout them and take them in for a trial, hopefully finding... We don't always want to find the next Beckham, the next Ronaldo. We just want individual players and see how they grow, just see how they move on.
But obviously, some people don't realise how tough it is, even for a less bigger club as such as Rochdale, that how tough it is to get into such an academy or centre of excellence.
You have to be good. You do have to be good. It's a fact that we don't just have... we have development groups as well for under 9s, and our development groups are 7 and 8 year olds. And once they've finished there, we can actually sign them onto contracts to play for our Centre of Excellence. And our Centre of Excellence goes all the way through to the YTs, straight through to the youth team, and straight into the first team. Some instances of footballers going all the way through has been Sam Miniam. He's a good local lad, and he first got scouted for our academy when he was 8 years old, and he's recently, at the end of last season, got his debut for Rochdale and is also training with the first team.
And on the back of that, obviously, last question we've been asked by some the fans today. Can he have a trial at Rochdale? Ryan Leesman asked.
No, try Bury or another local club. We don't take on randomers, really. Unless you're good. Post a video on YouTube, maybe. I might watch it. You never know.
You never know, indeed. But just on the back of that, just a question I wanted to ask, really. Do you have really someone that inspires you in the world of football coaching, say, whether it be a local or a big name?
It's really learning off other coaches. A lot of people inspire me to get better, but I'll just look at the people around me and try and better myself. It's not just looking at the big stars at Sir Alex Ferguson or anyone like that. Look at the people who are around you. If you can learn little things off them, it'll make you a better coach. It's just all about getting your experience and moving up. If you're stubborn enough to think that you're the best coach when you go in, you are really wrong and you have the wrong attitude. When I go to work, I watch all my colleagues' sessions, because if I learn one little thing out of them, I'll be happy and I can use it in mine. It's just about tweaking your sessions, tweaking how you develop players.
Yeah, again, you can't really look for a more professional outlook, can you, in terms of how way you go about things. But something just again to touch upon slightly. You mentioned obviously when you were playing, that was quite a few years ago now. But do you want to justify that a little bit more? Explain a bit, like what you were playing at when you were younger.
Well, the development squads are what move you up into going into the youth teams. And since it was Halifax, which were a pretty small club at the time, they were in League Two and in the conference. It wasn't an academy. It wasn't anything like Man United. I wasn't the best player in the world, but they move you up, and it was a good standard. But it happens in football. Accidents happen. It was a dodgy challenge. Could have happened to anyone, but it's just one of them things you have to get along with.
Yeah, and you've found a way, as you say, to stay inside the game, and obviously you're coaching now with Rochdale in the community section, which is, as we've all heard. But just one thing, I'll touch on to. Have you got any future plans, really, like when you're planning to next go on to your next FA level badge?
We have a certain qualifications we have to do during the year. There has to be a certain quota, a certain number of qualifications we have to take for our coaches development program.
Yeah.
And I've done most of mine for this year, so hopefully early next year I'll start on maybe a couple of youth modules. The youth modules are just based around age, the age groups. Youth development 1 is technically around 5 years and upwards, up to about the age of 7, and it's just specifically about coaching them. So I'd like to go into that, and to be honest, I want to try other sports as well. I'm looking at getting a qualification in coaching handball. It's the fastest growing sport in the UK, something I want to try, and it's always good to have other qualifications, and it's always good to try new sports.
Exactly. Could you just quickly explain then the coaching badge, like the order, what you have to go in, and where you end up with them all, and things like that?
The order is FA Level 1, FA Level 2, FA Level 3 and UEFA B combined, your UEFA A licence, which is your highest out of them, and you can also go on to manager's licence and other courses. Other specific courses you can go on are like your youth modules, maybe it's coaching people with disabilities, things like that. You can always go on different courses. You can even go on scouting courses, so you become a better scout. There's always something new to try, and to be honest, you should try and learn as much as you can, get as much experience as you can if you want to get involved in football.
Yeah, as always, it's great. Just to finish off, then I'll just ask you from a fan's perspective for a change. Well, where do you see Rochdale then this season in the future? Where are we going?
Hopefully upwards. I'd never like to say that my team's going to go down. I'll never say that we are going to lose a match. Even if we played against Man United, I'd still be standing there saying we've got a chance. Because it's 90 minutes of football, you never know what's going to happen. So up until that last day of the season, I have no idea what's going to happen. Hopefully it will be playoffs, maybe automatic promotion. if not, just build a squad for next season, because we've got an okay squad. We've got some good prospects and we've got some good players. We just need to find that right plan to get us up.
Yeah, obviously under the current management of John Coleman and Jimmy Bell, as you mentioned, but the results haven't been so bad to start this season, obviously from one fan to another, but the squad's not too bad. But I think we'll cut that about there. So thanks for coming in doing this for me, James. It's been a pleasure as always. Hope anyone listening's enjoyed it, and hopefully I'll bring more of this in the future. But obviously, big thanks to James Cooney, obviously my first guest on the interview. It's always a pleasure. You're welcome back anytime. We'll get more of you in, and obviously anyone that may be listening to this, thanks again for supporting the cause and listening, and that's all we've got time for in this one. Thanks again, guys, and I'll bring you obviously new stuff very soon.